Welcome to Legal Keys, unlocking time, revenue, and results. The podcast that connects you with the people, technologies, and trending topics shaping the modern legal landscape. From cutting-edge AI innovations to high-growth marketing strategies and everything in between. Legal Keys is your go-to resource for actionable insights. Brought to you by Faster Outcomes and hosted by Tim Sawyer, two-time Inc. 500 co-founder entrepreneur. We're here to help you navigate the tools and trends driving success in today's legal world.
Hello and welcome back to Legal Keys. I'm your host, Tim Sawyer, the Mississippi Association of Justice, Tripp Segars, who's my good friend, Tim. It is. I just want to give you a quick introduction. Tripp is, like I said, the immediate past president. Tripp is also a practicing personal injury lawyer, super influential. Tripp does a ton of work outside the practice. He does a lot of legislative work we want to talk about. He's about to take over as president of the Council of Presidents for AAJ, which is the national chapter of the Association for Justice. He has witnessed firsthand implementation and the evolution of AI in his own personal injury firm. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
He's got a cool case study going this summer. We're going to work together on he's got some law students that are going to be working in the practice. They're going to be exposed to AI and working with some of the faster outcome stuff. We're looking forward to hearing about that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect from Tripp. He's an active dude over the next 3 to 6 months. Tripp, welcome to Legal Keys.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, good to see you again. Yeah, we did this, I guess, last
Yes.
when you were starting the podcast and everything else. Really had a lot of fun and just excited to be back on again. I think it's really cool.
It's great. And Tripp has the distinction of being the second guest on the podcast, which he doesn't like me saying that, the first guest on the podcast. And also the first personal injury customer signed by Faster Outcomes over a year and a half ago. We're rapidly approaching 100 firms. So Tripp will forever have the distinction of being the first with us. And we're grateful for that. So first I want to talk about what you're doing in the Council of Presidents. Talk about that position and what are some of the goals for doing that?
Yeah. So as part of AAJ, there's a Council of Presidents, which is the state trial lawyer associations like Mississippi and all the other ones around the United States and some in Canada as well. And so you start kind of as president-elect of your association, then president, then immediate past president. When you're in those three roles, like for Mississippi, that puts you on the Council of Presidents for AAJ.
Okay.
So I've been on that already for a period of time. As part of that, I've also run for a 3-person leadership slate. And, as part of that, I've been secretary and then president-elect, which is what I am right now.
Okay.
So I got elected to do that. And then I will really go into that role of president in July in Chicago at the AAJ National Convention.
Congratulations.
So
you kick some ass?
That's going to be great, man. So let me tell you, there's tons of people from around the country who are coming to the convention. There's tons of people around the country who are active in their state trial lawyer associations, such as Mississippi. And so you got like-minded individuals who are really doing great things, for their clients around the country, really putting justice first and just really excited to be around everybody. And, as part of that meeting, we give updates and get updates from all the different TLAs around the country.
Yep.
So, Chris Winter just took over as president, here, he'll be there. He'll give an update on Mississippi. There's lots of different initiatives going on around the country that are both good and bad, for consumers. And so we'll hear about that. We'll hear a lot about legislative updates from the different states.
Yep.
And we'll have a little fun.
I bet you do.
It'll be good.
It's funny. I just today interviewed one of your colleagues, Daryl Porter Jr.
Yep.
And I'm fascinated by the fact, and I mentioned this before, how much work you guys put in, members of the Mississippi Association for Justice, how much work you put in outside your law practice, the courtroom, on the legislative front. And of course, he's part of the Mississippi House, right? He's a House member. And talking about the tough work that you do and the forces of good and evil in personal injury and the impact that it can have on an individual client, the impact it can have on your practice. So talk about some of the work that you do legislatively. Like, what's the environment like right now and what's the good fight?
Yeah, I mean, it's always contentious, I would say, in most state legislatures or general assemblies when you're talking about personal injury related issues. I mean, it just everything from tort reform to caps on damages to immunity, that companies like to get. And it's not just unique to the state TLAs. I mean, a lot of times who are fighting it, I mean, a lot of times it goes beyond the legislatures over to Congress, and they'll looking for federal immunity for a lot of things too in tort reform. But Daryl's great. Obviously an MAJ member. He's very supportive of Seventh Amendment, right to trial by juries, very supportive of consumer rights, as is Shonda Yates, who works with our firm, one of my law partners. And she's wonderful. She's a great advocate for consumer rights as well. And she does a lot of really good work for the city of Jackson. That's kind of where her district is. But so we've got good MAJ members, others, such as Jason Barrett, who just got an award today, for his work. I mean, he's great.
Yeah.
So you got to have people who understand that you put consumers first. You can help businesses too. I think they would all tell you to help business in that industry, but you just got to be fair and balanced. And I think that's the important work that we do, is just ensuring that there's a level playing field for everybody.
Right.
And, you'd mentioned that I know we've talked in the past about legislative work that we do. So I'm the current legislative chair for MAJ.
Okay.
So
what does that mean?
So that's predominantly the individual who is working with our outside lobbyist, in this case, Willie Bozeman, on, initiatives that the association find important.
Yep.
And such as protecting consumer rights and whatnot. And so we're over there every day during the session of trying to ensure that nothing bad happens as much as we can. So we work with our legislative friends. We work with leadership to try and really push positive legislation if we can. We did have a good piece of legislation that passed this year. Now that was not drafted by us, but this particular one, we have a Mississippi Tort Claims Act for governmental entities and different things like that. There's a tort claims board that kind of manages some of that. And there have been a lot of issues with figuring out who to serve after you file suit. And if you don't serve it right and get kicked out, there's a lot of issues. And so there was a bill that Trey Lamar had worked on, who's a representative, and Rod Hickman, who's a senator, also an MAJ member. He and Derek Simmons had kind of talked about, but we ended up getting it passed. We have some really, really good stuff going on there. And so the CEOs of these tort claims entities have to register with the Tort Claims Board and, provide addresses for service. And if they don't, it tolls the statute, which is really important for consumers or plaintiffs who are bringing claims.
Yeah, that's great work. I'm always, like I said, super impressed. And as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about, so I've been, this is my second time here at MAJ. And I noticed that there are a handful of younger members. So not that you're the pitch man for MAJ, but what is it? So if you're a young lawyer, right, and you're a couple of years out of law school, what's the benefit to joining MAJ, and what can they expect as a member?
MAJ is great. AAJ is great on the national side too. But, here in Mississippi, I mean, if you're getting out, you're starting to practice law, you're trying to find your way. It's a great group of individuals who are out here fighting fight. And who have the ability to help you, not just learning the law, but, providing resources that help you get from point A to point Z, in the case. I mean, you don't know what you don't know sometimes, but, when you're out there trying to go at it on your own, sometimes if you're a solo, I mean, it's hard.
It is hard. And I think I was talking with Daryl about this too, on a couple fronts. And I don't know what MAJ, AAJ, or anyone does but if you look at, for example, we just had John Morgan here as a speaker, and John's got $400 million a year to spend on advertising, and particularly in personal injury, advertising is heated up, right? So a young lawyer getting out of law school, trying to get out on his own and get some cases going, he's up against it, right? So what can we do as an association? And I was talking to Daryl, he's like, one of the things I want to do is help mentor kids to get involved. And Steve talked about, finding a niche that you become really good at. Is there an effort to help get the young guys or gals acclimated, and from a marketing standpoint, how do they get established?
Yeah, I mean, as far as efforts to get them involved in MAJ and in the practice of law, I mean, we have a new lawyers division that, where they're able to take part in different CLEs and leadership roles, things like that. We encourage them to get involved in the Board of Governors that also meets many times a year, quarterly, to kind of just learn more about the practice and what we're doing as an association. Man, on the marketing side, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of money being spent every day on TV, billboards, obviously internet,
Yep.
right? With Google and all these different places that, you're trying to get cases. I mean, people are buying cases. There's just a lot of different ways now to have case acquisition. And, from a standpoint of can you build a better mousetrap, so to speak, right? I mean, people are getting better, at using their websites as an online brochure to kind of sell, to prospective clients. But I'll tell you, I don't think there's a one size fits all marketing plan for every single lawyer who's out there. And I think it's really hard if you're talking about a young person who's getting out on his or her own to go do it. I mean, you got to get out in the community. You got to be known. And then depending on what kind of work you're doing, go find people in that area who are doing it.
Right.
And, you talk about Daryl, who's in a firm with multiple lawyers, ask them, invite them to lunch, to dinner.
Yeah, smart.
Say, what can I do? Can you give me some thoughts on this? How did you do it? And I think you'll find that when you ask for help, a lot of people will give you help. You can't wait till late, right?
Yeah.
You got to get out there and be.
You have to. And it was interesting because he was talking about, getting his practice going early on. And he literally said, hey, if there's any young lawyer that's interested in wants any help, happy to give it. Just let me know. I'll tell you everything I know that it can help me get going. And I think what I'm noticing at MAJ is that mentorship is a big part of this, right? At all levels, so and it's a very collegial atmosphere. So if you're outside looking in, everyone's kind of a close-knit group. I'm sure there's people have issues amongst each other, but really, it's a really good group of people that are super active. And how old is everyone?
Man, MAJ's been around for a while. I mean, you're talking about going back. You're gonna make me quote this, aren't you? 70s, 80s, maybe even earlier.
40 years,
I mean, it's been around for a while. I mean, it's you're talking about we have our 50th. It's been a minute, but I mean, it's been around for a while, and lots of great lawyers have come through this organization, and many will continue. I think one of the great things, even as immediate past president this year, I mean, I walked into the CLE area, and I don't know some of the people who are here.
Yeah,
I mean, the membership continues to increase, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's what you want, because then you want great CLEs app, and you want to train lawyers to do the great things that they can for their clients and help consumers out there in the world. And so I'm just glad that we've got this opportunity, and that everybody who's coming has an opportunity to learn from the speakers and from each other through all these different events that we're doing for the betterment.
Really. That's cool. And speaking of mentorship, you guys have a couple big law clerks.
Yeah, we got
two law clerks coming this summer. Talk about what you're hoping to accomplish with them. And is that common every summer? You've got one or two folks coming in?
We've been doing it, in more recent years like that.
Yeah.
But we've got two law clerks from Mississippi College School of Law.
Okay.
Which is where all the lawyers in our firm had gone previously. Yeah. And they started within the last few weeks. And part of the targets that or the goals that we have for them is to help continue to develop an AI framework for the firm, that works for every single lawyer and staff member who's there. Right. And so they've been, I don't know if you even want to call it tasks. I mean, they've been given the opportunity to develop that and learn and to do it on our top 20 cases in the office. Wow. We keep a running top 20. And as part of that, you may have commercial vehicle cases, MVAs, med mal. I think there's a construction or a road defect case on there. I mean, there's a lot of different types of cases that, that we handle. There's, I think probably 5 or 6 premises cases that may be on there as well that are just things for them to look at and say, okay, we want to develop this framework, but we want to test it out on these top 20 cases to see how this is going to look. And so as part of that, they, at least initially, have to develop 2 separate documents on each of the 20, one of which is a case narrative that kind of goes through almost like a SWOT analysis to a certain extent, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. But in a legal sense, I mean, like, what are we working with? What are the positives of the case, potential weaknesses, things we need to improve? What are the facts of the case? Potential settlement values, venue analysis, experts, looking at the other side, all that stuff. They've got to help put together this case narrative based off of the documents that are in the file. And then as the file continues to grow, you got to be able to create a repeatable process, right? And then the next document's a litigation strategy. Okay. So, once we file the case, if it's not already filed, how does that look? What's the process for how it goes from the start all the way through trial or resolution?
Yep.
And, giving them that opportunity to not only look at the documents themselves and create it, but to use different AI software platforms, things like that, such as Faster Outcomes.
Yep.
I think is one of those things that they're really appreciating, because I don't think a lot of people, in their classes are having an opportunity this summer to go do a project like that. I mean, a lot of them are doing writing briefs and doing memos, and we wanted to make it more fun and something that was going to be beneficial to both the firm and to them, right? Because, you want a good experience. If you're going to do this, you want to learn, to help, right?
I have an idea. I just thought of this right now. This is not contrived or scripted. So the clerks who are using AI, I have a hypothesis, and I'd be willing to put up a couple $100, whatever it is, that if you gave them 5 cases each, let them use AI and say, okay, I need you to use all the tools at your disposal and come to a demand dollar. If you just tasked them with that and you had 5 cases that you've already done, my guess is with a little training, those guys could get close.
Are you saying using AI software?
Using AI software.
Okay. Well, I mean,
knowing nothing else, just say, hey, come up with you know what a demand is, right, Steve? Yep. Come up with a demand for this case.
I think they could do that.
I wonder how close they could get.
You're talking about more on the number side, but I mean, they're drafting demands right now using, Faster Outcomes and the different software.
So yeah.
I mean, they're already doing some of that, but as far as a true resolution analysis or a value of a case, I mean, obviously you've got playbooks in Faster Outcomes. Yeah. They've played around with that too and are familiar with it. But, are you asking, say, if they use a chat feature in that to help?
Yeah. So
learn about
my thing is, I would challenge not just at Diaz or your firm, Diaz firm. I would say if you had a law clerk, second-year law clerk, you would say you can use any AI tools available to you. We will give you no additional tools except AI, and we will give you all the elements of the case, all the financials, all the medicals, any crash scene photos, police reports, no other information. And you said to a 20-year-old kid, tell me what the value of this case is up to the point of litigation with no additional instructions. And they can go use Claude and chat for outside research. They can use Faster Outcomes for the discipline part of the case. I could be totally wrong. My hypothesis is you could get a kid to get close, and it would drive a 25-year paralegal crazy.
Possibly. Your hypothesis is that they would get close on what the actual resolution looked like in a case that we've already done if we go in and put in all these documents and let them work through it. Younger folks who haven't practiced law, who are in law school, and maybe they haven't been exposed to what valuations look like, AI can definitely help with that.
Yeah.
Because different types of AI have venue analysis, different things.
Fictional components.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What the jury pool looks like, things like that. So, I mean, I think AI can definitely help you move cases faster, provide resolutions, analysis type stuff. So I think you're right about that. They probably could, which is mind blowing for somebody who would know absolutely nothing about the case. They're getting training, which frankly, I mean, and let me bring up this point. AI software is getting better and better every day.
Yeah.
But I think that the next thing that, companies are, some of which are struggling with, is the training part. How do you train people to use the AI so that it works to the advantage of whoever is using it, right? Because garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, you've got to be able to train somebody appropriately on the software or the platform or whatever it is they're using. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, all you're doing is spinning wheels, wasting time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you see a lot of large companies nowadays who are trying to put in AI models, into their big corporations and whatnot, and they're getting frustrated because they're spending all this money and they don't know what they're getting.
No.
And there's the training may not be there yet.
Right.
And so their goal of creating this, and it's the same thing in a law firm, creating this efficient, effective process may be falling flat on its face because they just haven't done it.
Right.
And so I think that's something that everybody continues to struggle with, but the AI components themselves are getting better and better and better.
Right.
And so if you, in the legal practice, for instance, if you're one of the earlier adopters, I think you're going to be just so far ahead of people who are just lagging behind on that. And in the case of most solos and small firms, if you're not adopting it, I mean, you're going to get left behind, I think, at some point. It'd be tough. I just think that's just a reality nowadays.
I've been saying all day, but when folks say, AI, it's not really Not worried about that. I'm like, yeah, you could still ride a horse to your next appointment, but I noticed you don't do that.
Car, don't you?
You got a freaking car, man. You could use a horse or a typewriter, but I noticed no one's doing that. There's a reason. And so it's funny. And as far as just AI in general, when we talk about adoption, what I mean by adoption is firm-wide adoption. There's a philosophical belief that AI actually helps, whether it's go faster, get higher settlements, or more consistent outputs, whatever that is. You're in that camp.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that starting the case analysis, putting together the case, I think is where AI is really, really good right now. But I don't think it's not going to replace effective lawyering that has to be done.
No.
And there's always going to be additional AI that's coming out that can help you do some of this analysis. But I think at the end of the day, it's not going to replace lawyers, because lawyers still have to provide expertise in the areas of, say, experts, still got to go try the cases, get the full value for the client. And a lot of that's up in here, and experience and, things that, you do over years, but that AI can definitely help with.
Yeah. And I think the theme through the podcast of the folks I've been interviewing is it amplifies a capable lawyer, right? So, now folks are starting to use AI for tactics and strategy, but even the strategy is only as good as the question being asked, right? So if you're thinking, well, here's my strategy, let me get some feedback on that. It's no different, I think, than, you going to Joey, say, hey, Joey, I think 3 years ago, you worked on a case similar to this, and it was a nuance. Tell me about that case. Well, AI it's baking that knowledge in every time it goes through it. So the next time it sees it, it knows the move, right?
That's true. And I mean, depending on the product, you can put a lot of institutional knowledge into some type of a vehicle of an AI platform like that can give you your answers on a closed system analysis, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to an open one. But, when you, frankly, I mean, when I look at some of these things, I love being able to chat with all the documents that I put in there and say, all right, give me this answer.
Yeah.
Help me develop this document.
Yeah.
Tell me about this. Maybe I've missed something, in the case of trying to prepare for a deposition.
Right.
Okay. Write me 50 questions based off of all the documents and an analysis that you do that I should ask this potential deponent about this case.
Yeah.
And it can do that.
Which is great.
It's
Think
awesome.
of the time you save from that.
Hours and hours and hours. And then I can go in and I can tweak that. And I can say, well, let's look at this. We don't really need this as much, but okay, now let's go a little bit deeper on this.
Yeah.
And you just continue to get prepped, but it takes less time and you're in theory more effective because you're using some agentic or AI power to help you develop this process, which is great. And I hear more and more people trying to adopt it. It's just that people don't know what to do.
Right.
Where do you turn? Which platform do you use? Do you use stuff like ChatGPT and Claude?
Yeah.
Then you got ethical considerations depending on, what you're doing there.
Right. Big time.
Yeah, of course. And, is it HIPAA compliant? Can you put different facts that are specific to a client in there? Is it going to learn on that and potentially give that to the other side if they're using whatever platform? So you just got to watch out for some of that. I think an issue that is coming up that we're reading more about is when people are doing these different AI searches or the chatting with the document, whatever it may be, is that discoverable in a case? Is it work product?
Yep.
Some judges have said you got to hand over your searches and all that stuff. I don't think that's
the right
thing to do. I mean, I think exactly. AI is a tool. That's no different than me going to ask, a number of other.
Or pulling up Clio.
Yeah.
Clio.
I just don't think that they should have access to that. But that's an area that's being discussed right now.
Yeah. It's interesting. What's good to hear, though, is that talking to a lawyer who's using AI practically in real workflows, instead of someone going, AI, that's bullshit. It's like, hold on. If you use it in the right way, with guardrails, like you said, HIPAA compliant versus uploading personal information into an open source, that's a problem. And it's funny. I was reading something the other day. We had it was a family lawyer, managing partner, call us up and said, hey, can you help me with this or that? And he said, no, they have about 15 lawyers in the firm. He said, I know my lawyers are using AI in ways that I don't even want to know about. I just don't want to know about. So I assume you guys protect all that, right? That was the only question I got. wasn't a question about our lawyers using AI. It's like, who's going to manage the way they use AI?
I think that goes back to the training, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to properly train whoever's using it to bring about the best result in an ethical manner, right? Yeah. And, we use it right now on the marketing side, for social media, for email blasts, for marketing content that we send out by mail to our clients.
Yep.
We use it for demands, when we're putting together an analysis of a case and sending out a demand letter. We'll put all the documents in and chat with it and generate demands. We'll look at medical timelines.
Yeah, of course.
We also put in the discovery that the other side sends us and says, okay,
all right.
Knowing what the client knows with all these documents, draft discovery responses.
Yep.
And we show them to the client. And of course, the client, does what they do with it in terms of tweaking, making sure it's correct or not correct. And we change it. We update it. We will draft discovery that we then send to the other side through that as well. Yep. And, I had one case where I think it was over 250 documents that we put in to faster outcomes, for instance, and then asked it to draft both discovery responses and then also discovery. And so what would have taken days, to do some of this got done in hours. And big difference. So it makes it.
You get back 6 hours of time.
Yeah.
You got back 6 hours of time.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's huge. And, even on a plaintiff side, where we are always looking for ways to help the clients through being more efficient and effective, on the defense side, civil defense, I mean, they're billing by the hour.
Right.
I mean, it goes back and forth. I mean, who are you really helping, by using some kind of AI platform or generative AI, because you're cutting your time down.
Right.
So it's much more advantageous for plaintiffs. Yeah. I mean, to use this to benefit the client.
Yeah. So with that being said, as we start to wind down, what's going on with you for the next 3 to 6 months?
Yep. Yeah, definitely got to start serving for AAJ Council of Presidents in July, working with the incoming president, John Bay, out of Atlanta, on some of his priorities while I'm COP president, such as AAJ membership and being able to help with the legislative fronts, in different states.
Yep.
And then, potentially fundraising for key races around the country. That'll be a part of it, sitting on the executive committee and helping out with that. So really looking forward to that. And
doesn't sound like you get a lot of golf in the future.
I wish I could play more golf. I also have, as you know, a 3-year-old who's just amazing and sassy and logical and so much fun. And so my wife and I are constantly running around after her. So when I'm not at the office, I'm back at home, spending time with them and my dog.
You're doing good work, my friend. I appreciate
it. It's good to see you as always, man.
It's great to see you. Thank our viewers for Legal Keys. If you're someone watching this, you live in Mississippi, got to give MAJ a look. Give him a call. Welcome back to Legal Keys. I'm your host, Tim Sawyer. My man, Philip Hearn, is the managing partner of the Hearn Law Firm. He is also the current president of MAJ, the Mississippi Association for Justice. So what I want to do first, Philip, thank you.
My absolute pleasure. And I am looking very much forward to being a member of the Past Presidents Club. So that cannot get here soon enough.
Well, I've heard nothing but great things about you,
brother.
So the first thing I want to say is, what's your takeaway? You spent a year, hard work, big takeaway.
Well, I will say this. I'm a lifer. I'm an MAJ lifer. I joined MAJ my first year in law school in 1990.
Yep.
By my second year, I was president of the student chapter. I was president again my third year. So I was a 2-term president of MAJ. So I've been an MAJ lifer. We had, when I got back into leadership, I've always been a member, stayed on the board of governors, got into the leadership race a few years back, and our membership was way down. And so my goal into getting back into membership was to correct that. Getting back into leadership was to correct membership. And so I would say
y'all are growing, right?
Oh my goodness. We had 362 paid members when I became president 1 year ago today. We now have 574.
Amen.
We did not have any student chapters in Mississippi. We now have established student chapters at both Mississippi College School of Law, University of Mississippi Ole Miss School of Law, both of them with significant memberships. So we have reached out and extended membership throughout the state, and it has been just a tremendous year of growth and vitality, and I couldn't be more pleased.
Congratulations. And I've noticed this is my second year. I'm a big supporter of MAJ.
Thank you.
I noticed a lot of younger people here.
Yeah.
Looks like you've made some inroads with the younger lawyers and
it's 100%. That was absolutely one of our focuses. Was I said, look, if we want to grow this organization, it can't be just we love the people like me, the old heads who've been doing this crap forever. But I said, look, we want to reach out to constituencies that we have not previously. We need to go younger. We need to go criminal lawyers. We need to go to domestic lawyers. We need to go, lawyers of color.
Yeah.
We need to reach out to, to the women's caucuses. We need to reach out to all constituencies to reach out to them. And the main thing is what we want is a bunch of young lawyers doing this because, we're not going to be here forever.
Right.
It's just, hey, it is what it is. And so, and I'm so glad that you noticed, I noticed it too. We've had so many young attorneys show up this year and it has been beyond rewarding. It's like I feel mission accomplished.
Yeah. It's incredible. And one of the things I've noticed, and I've said in all the podcasts we've done here, it's incredible what you guys do. People like yourself do. You've got a full-time world that you live in. You've got job and now 6 kids and you're the president and you're doing volunteer work and you're running a law firm. And I give so much credit to the folks at MAJ. And a lot of that comes from leadership. Oh, that's from you and mentoring.
Well, thank you for that. I will say that Marietta Carner and LaShondra Upton they're the brains behind this operation. Yeah. They are at MAJ headquarters. And like I said, I'm more the mouthpiece. I did have very strong feelings about the MAJ. Like I said, I'm a lifer. This is my, I think, 36th or 37th conference and convention. And, I was basically a baby lawyer when I came here in 1990, full head of brown hair and curly brown hair, and so I'm here 37 years later. I'm now one of those old heads, bald heads. And so yes, I love MAJ and it's our home office. It's never been stronger, never been better. Membership's never been higher. All right, this is the highest attended convention of this century. Wow. We have the most membership of this century. We had what I believe is the strongest executive, staff at MAJ headquarters that we've had in years and years and years. So from an organizational standpoint, we are really on the correct trajectory. Right. It couldn't be happening.
So it sounds like you had some goals.
That is
those goals, like probably been doing that your whole life.
That is exactly how I did it. When I started when I became president at law school, we had 9 members out of a law school class of 300 people in the total class. When I left, we had 90 members. Wow. I've always been about membership, getting people in, and MAJ, the way I tell people is it's about protecting civil justice system. What does that mean? That means protecting the little guy. It means protecting the people without a voice. So I've felt this way for a long time. And the way you do that is to take like-minded people, focus them, organize them, because there's strength in numbers. Yeah. And that is, that obviously carried over into my tenure as president. And I will tell you, I set that as my goal when I became president last year. And to the membership's credit, they have bought in. We established membership committees. I said, be mindful, be intentional in growing our membership. And that's exactly what we did. Everybody did their part. We reached out to people all over the state. Yeah. And this is the result. We've increased membership 60%.
Wow. So from a sustainability standpoint, it's only a 1-year tenure. And Chris Winter's coming in, right?
Chris is, let me tell you, one of the joys of my last 5 years in leadership is getting to know Chris. Chris is a terrific lawyer. He is going to be a terrific leader. Yep. He's going to be better than me at this. Yeah. And I hope he is. I hope he blows my tenure away. And that's the sincerest wish that I have for this organization. And he will, because he's a connector. He's a great lawyer. He's a great human being. Yeah. And I think he shares that same passion for MAJ. We are united in our viewpoint about where MAJ is and should be. So I expect Chris to do great things. I absolutely do.
Under your tutelage and your guidance and the mentorship,
listen, he's going to do his own thing and he's going to be great. I have no doubt.
So you also have another life.
I do.
You're a plaintiff's attorney in multiple, in a couple states. Yes. Right? Mississippi, Tennessee.
I do WARN Act litigation, which most people say, what the hell is that? Yeah. It's WARN Act and WARN, it's the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. It's mass layoffs. I have a national practice in that. I have clients in 48 states. And so I do WARN Act litigation all over.
What does that mean exactly? So someone who is laid off the wrong way?
Yeah, think about it. You come in these factories or these manufacturing plants, and you got 500 employees, and everybody's working. They've been there for 20 years. And then one day they come in to work on Monday and they say, go home, we're done. Under the Worker Adjustment Notification Act, WARN Act, they're entitled to 60 days advance notice or 60 days pay. And so what happens, you can't believe how many companies mess that up.
Just blow it.
Just blow it, and they don't do it and say, let the lawyers figure it out. So I have United Furniture in North Mississippi in Thanksgiving 2022 went belly up.
Yep.
And so that left about 4,000 people out of work. And of course, I do employment work. I have my whole life, so my phone just exploded.
Yep.
So I signed up 1,000 clients in 3 weeks and got into WARN Act litigation, hot and heavy, because I believe that those people, it's one of the dirtiest things I've ever seen. What happened to those people? Those are my neighbors. These are people I know.
Yeah.
And so I said, somebody's got to do something. So I got in there and I started litigating it. I became lead counsel in that case. We got an $18 million settlement on it last year.
Amen.
And we set some groundbreaking law on in that area as far as individual liability under the WARN Act. So it has been something that I feel strongly about.
Yep.
And so when you get these workers who bust their tail, do everything and the bosses walk in and say, you're fired.
Yeah, true.
That's it. Go home. So that's what I do. So WARN Act has been something that I'm blessed in that regard. My success on the United Furniture case was expanded into a national practice.
Wow.
And so that absorbs a lot of my time, but it is the most rewarding thing I do.
Yeah. And I see you walking around. You're always on the phone in some different time zone talking to someone.
Correct. It's the craziest thing I do, man. It's like, you just don't know who I'm going to be talking to. So it's an interesting part of my practice.
Yeah. Good for you. You've done a lot of great stuff.
I appreciate it.
So going forward, and I want to be mindful of your time. I appreciate you stopping by. We were talking a little bit about technology, the impact of technology, how you feeling about AI, and what are your thoughts on AI now?
I have
pro, anti.
Well, let me tell you, I'm going to date myself. Okay.
Yep.
I got my first computer in law school in 91.
Yep.
Okay. And that was just a computer, like the old black screen, the green letters.
Yeah.
And then in 94, I was working at a law firm. We got the internet.
Okay.
And I remember we used to have those giant law libraries, and then we went to DVD, CDs, for that. And I remember sitting there with that slow dial-up internet, and it had all of the databases on there. And I thought, man, this is going to change everything. And I had no idea. And I remember 30 years after that, one day my computer was out. They didn't have the internet. And I basically said, everybody go home. And that's how much the internet revolutionized the law practice. What I believe is that AI is going to have a more profound impact, not just on law practice, but on life in general than the internet did. And so think about that.
Yeah.
Think about how the internet revolutionized the way we live, the way we practice law, the way we do our business. I think AI will be more profound than that. So I am, we have an AI consultant.
Yeah.
My office manager, Melda, if you watch this, you're awesome. And
I'm going to talk to you.
And she's terrific. She's got a degree in AI, and so we are working with consultant right now to actively incorporate AI throughout every meaningfully every aspect of our law firm. And I truly believe this, and this is a warning to all of the small firms like us, like me, like my firm. If you are not on the AI wave, you will be left behind. In 5 years, the law practice will be unrecognizable. And you better get comfortable with AI. You better incorporate AI. I mean, give you a perfect example. I do a lot of medical malpractice.
Yep.
So I get, one of the coins of the realm is getting medical summaries done.
Yep.
So I got about 5,000 pages, catastrophic medical malpractice laws. And I was thinking, man, it's going to cost me $5,000 to give me a medical summary. I thought, I'm just going to play with it.
Yeah.
Hyperlinks to relevant documents, the entire thing. It took 2 minutes.
Yep.
And I got a 20-page
medical summary. Annual subscription.
I had hyperlinks, highlights. I sent it to my usual nurse, and I said, what do you think? She goes, this is scary. This is how it changes them to a 2-minute passage.
Yeah.
That's how it changes.
So I'm calling you pro. We're putting you pro AI. You know what I'm thinking though?
Pro all the way.
Pro all the way.
All the way.
But what's interesting? So I was talking with someone, and I'm certainly pro AI.
Sure.
To that point, when you're talking about WARN, is it the WARN Act?
WARN Act, correct.
WARN Act. When you see what's happening now in the practical application of AI,
yes,
you're seeing big companies
100%.
Big chunks of people.
All the time. You can't believe how they screwed it up.
Yeah.
Yellow Freight just laid off 33,000 people and blew the WARN Act.
Yeah.
I just settled, I settled my case on behalf of 600 Yellow Freight employees on behalf of the WARN Act. A company like Yellow Freight nationwide blew the WARN Act.
Well, I can see AI having an impact on that.
You know
what I'm saying? Because,
track it. Listen, they have to file notices for WARN Act. I'm sitting here, when you were saying it, I thought, I hadn't thought about that, but I did just now. So thank you for that. I'll buy you a drink for that one.
There you go. I think so there's going to be these incredible.
You saw the wheels turning.
Yeah, I did. Well, there's incredible advances going to be made. Then some people, there'll be an identity crisis because
there will.
And a lot of times, we'll be doing, sales guys will be doing demos, and certainly this is not our goal or interest is to displace folks, but you'll see a paralegal watch the demo and they'll get this look on their face. And it's like, wait, this is what I do.
Exactly. And they do.
Exactly.
And what I tell people,
and it's like, no, this can help you go faster.
Adapt or perish.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, look, I'm 59. I'm a dinosaur. I like the way I do things. I still carry a paper calendar. But even with all of that, you have to understand that this is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, we may not like it. We may not feel comfortable with it. But if you don't want to do it, you better get somebody in your firm that can
do it. Yeah.
And that's what, I've got Melda, I've got a consultant, I've got good people around me who are helping me with that. Well, I'll be talking to you because you've got a great product, by the way.
I appreciate that.
He does have a great product. He showed me a demo. It's impressive. So anybody out there watching this, I will be talking to him. I'll come back for a testimonial next time. But, and you got it. And I'm not just saying that. It was an impressive demo. So you have to get comfortable with this AI space because it's here.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And you have to do it. You have to leverage yourself with AI. Or and listen, there's always going to be guys, there's going to be room for guys doing traffic tickets and going to court and doing small stuff and divorces. There's, trial, but all of those other things, big stuff, compilation of data, doing medical summaries, discovery, organizing documents, all of that is going to be done by AI in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
It just is.
We're there.
We're there. It is what it is. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. I was working on this catastrophic truck wreck case.
Yeah.
Guy lost a leg. It's a brutal case. I had tons of medical records. And I was trying to put together a settlement demand.
Yeah.
And I just kind of had writer's block.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get over the hump. So I'm sitting at my desk one day and I'm just trying to put this thing together. For whatever reason, it just wasn't happening for me. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try something. I put in one of my old settlement demands. I put everything in the case. I said, draft me a settlement demand, all the relevant documents, references to it.
Yep.
It was literally 30 seconds. And I edited it like I would the work of a first year associate, went back, double checked everything. And it was gone. I settled that case for $3 million.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amen. You just said the most profound thing. And we'll start to wind down on that. People who think that somehow AI is going to kill the creativity or the strategy or the intelligence of the modern lawyer, that is total bullshit.
Correct.
It's going to amplify the instincts and the intelligence of the modern lawyer. It's the guy who says, I'm not going to use AI. I'm like, well, you could still go to work on a horse.
Correct.
But
if you want
I notice you don't do it.
I wouldn't suggest it. You sure as hell
could do it.
You could use a typewriter too. I wouldn't suggest it, but knock yourself out.
That's kind of where we're at. So with that said, what's up next for you? So you tonight we're going to celebrate, and then after that, next 3 to 6 months, we got going on.
Going President's party, and then I told everybody I didn't want to do anything else, any trial lawyer association ever, because I'm tired and exhausted. And as a result of that, I got elected to the board of governors for the Southern Trial Lawyers Association. So that's what I will do.
That's coming up.
It's coming up in October in the Dominican Republic. So I'm looking forward to that and assuming a leadership role there, being active with STLA, a great group. By the way, you should come join us. And thank you. And then the other thing,
I will.
Good. And then the other thing is I'm looking forward to getting back full-time practice of law, kind of get back in the flow of things. And I'm looking forward to that. So I miss practicing law. It's like MAJ has been great. Like I said, I owe everything that such as I am, everything I am, I owe to MAJ and the friendships and the family I've developed there, personal and professional. MAJ has been, it's my second family. So I had, I've done my part with that. I continue to be active. I'll always be a member of the board of governors, but it's getting back to just being a lawyer again and being able to do what, enjoy that part of it, help people, which is what I like to do. I love practicing law. And I'll be one of those guys who's 90 years old, God knock on wood, that dies at his desk.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any hobbies or do anything else. Yeah. And so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Amen. If someone's watching this and they want to send you a note, email, what's your email?
Yeah, it's Philip, 1L, PHILIP, at hearnlawfirm.net. You can also find me at Hearn Law Firm on the internet.
hearnlawfirm.net.
That's it.
You're the man.
You're the man, brother.
You. I'm grateful. Hey, guys, we appreciate you sticking with us today. And by the way, we'll be back here tomorrow in New Orleans at the Windsor Court with MAJ. As you can tell, for those of you who watch Legal Keys, these are some of the greatest lawyers in the world. And I've said this multiple times today. These guys are committed on and off the court, in and out of the courtroom. They volunteer. They mentor. It's an incredible organization. And under Philip's leadership, to see the growth that they've experienced, it's humbling to be a part of it. I'm grateful to be a sponsor. I love that. I will be with you down in STLA, Travelers Association.
100%.
We're going to love that. I've got some cool ideas for that, by the way, we're working on. And so we want to thank you for joining us again on Legal Keys, and have a great week.